Yeah.
We brought the techie tonight.
Okay, welcome everybody. We'll start our special council meeting here. And the agenda, well, we can't change the agenda, so it's adopted as presented. That's the way special council meetings go. Whatever's on the agenda has to be set.
Can you explain this to me a little bit?
Sure.
This is a regular council meeting, correct?
Special council meeting.
This is the
committee of the whole.
or committee of the whole.
But in advance of having our committee of the whole. That's right. We will go to our committee of the whole. It's the reason why I called the special meeting was in order to meet our tax sale schedules, we had to first we had to approve the tax sale. These tax sales, you have to hit everything just right on schedule. You can't set anything aside. So, and then we threw in one other topic for discussion, which seemed like a timely thing to do, which was the summer water rate discount discussion, and see if the council was willing to entertain that as well. Okay. So we don't take absences as long as we've got a quorum at a special council meeting. We're good to go. And so we have a few items of business to attend to. 4A, which is a resolution concerning the tax sale auction. And I've got a motion moved by Councillor Bellefontaine, seconded by Councillor Rote, that council sets the 2019 tax sale auction for September 10th, 2019 at 10 a.m. Any discussion on that item?
Can you explain that a little bit to us, how this process works? I'm sorry, I wasn't here last year, so I don't know anything about it. Just a quick overview.
Okay, Darryl, did you want to
Yeah.
go over that?
At some point last year, early in the year, there was a tax sale list created based on delinquent property tax accounts. That has been in process for a year, and so now we're at the point where those that have not made arrangements and or paid stay on the list, and those properties are now eligible to be auctioned at a tax sale. So basically that process will move on September 10th, the auction date. There will be at least one advertisement of the date and what have. And then the day of, solicitor will be here on site conducting the auction, and he'll go through the list, and you know, it's like an auction. The minimum bid will start at 50% of the assessed value. So
Is there a list of these places available, like sometime in?
there will be a list as we get closer to the date, and there are rules respecting who can bid on the properties and who cannot. So more about who cannot. So yeah, that list will be available.
And I know it's not dealt with here, but I remember there being some concern over the length of time that the solicitor stayed and took bids. There was, I think, maybe just a 1 hour window where in the past he had basically held the auction. And if we're going to do that again, I think it's just important that we get the word out to everybody that they have to be here basically before a certain time. And
What's the reasoning behind only having an hour as opposed to a day? Wouldn't we get more potential bang for our buck in that case?
yeah, you pay for the lawyer to sit here all day.
Well, you're going to pay for him to come in for the day anyways, so
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to already hit you pretty hard. What's a couple?
Oh yeah, per hour once he's here is the same rate.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, we're having a special meeting about having a tax sale at over $1,000 to the taxpayer, so I don't think we're too concerned with
Well, every hour that the solicitor sits around is, I think, about $500, so.
So we see, okay,
See, what he would do.
okay, let's continue on with that
Yeah.
theme of $500 an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are paying him for 1 hour that day?
No, I think you'd be paying for his travel and probably the morning because he has to collect the bids, do a little bit of liaisoning with our staff over what has occurred during the auction. And then he usually catches the plane back to Yellowknife and at noon. That's typically how it's gone in the past. So if you were saying, well, should he stay for the afternoon, then you're definitely paying at least 4 or 5 more hours of lawyer time and one more evening. So, because he normally just comes in the evening before on the Air Tindy flight, or perhaps he comes in on the first air. I don't know. But,
I would then advertise it well.
yeah, just make sure
Make
people
sure
know.
everybody knows the times if you're that limited.
Yeah.
If you could squeeze an extra half an hour or hour out of it, it might not hurt.
Yeah.
1 hour is a pretty small window, but I don't know. Don't matter.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
The other question I have on this is
Yeah.
why was this left for so long that we needed a special meeting to talk about this when we've been talking about a tax sale for a year and there's been quite a few regular meetings that I think this could have been set up.
We had discussed around probably a month or so ago about the solicitor having some dates available to come in, and sort of went around the table with council on a discussion of the date and the minimum bid. And the 50% again was sort of agreed around. In terms of the special meeting, it should have been on last week's regular meeting.
Right.
So you can put that at my table. Okay.
That was one reason why we added the summer water rates discount idea, because that at least makes it another discussion point that we can have while we're having a meeting. So on that motion then, can I see a show of hands for those that support the council setting the 2019 tax sale auction for September 10th, 2019 at 10 a.m. All in favor? Okay, we got 7 in favor, none against. Motion is carried. And the next thing that we consider 4B, which is the minimum auction price. And I've got a motion moved by Councillor Bellefontaine, seconded by Councillor Hassan, that council sets the minimum auction price at 50% of the assessed value of properties on the 2019 tax sale list. And this is something that we do have a range, but this is the minimum that we can set according to the Cities, Towns, and Villages Act, a Property Tax Sale Act. But if we're mandated here, this is a legislative
What's
minimum.
the range?
I think you could have it all the way up to 100% of the assessed value if you wanted it to be that high. But it's just whether you're going, see, if you're looking at it like we want to collect our taxes, then you don't necessarily want to set the price too high. And we have some distressed properties here too, where I think the lower the price, the better, just to get them moving. But it's up to council what they want to decide on that.
The auction itself could move the end result up beyond the 50 based on how that goes. That's just a starting point.
So 15 is the minimum?
50, yeah.
50 is the minimum.
Yeah.
I'm good with 50.
And that's of the assessment that
Well, it just, yeah.
MACA comes, or their
There's 7 years.
designated property assessors come in and they assess like on your property.
So it's pretty cheap, actually.
Could be fairly cheap, you know. Probably under what the market might be.
Yeah, see, assessment is nowhere near what the market value is.
Yeah, Normally you're right there, yeah.
The last time we did this, we kind of ran into a problem, or we talked about doing it, we ran into a problem. We have a clear list of places that can go up, right, like legally, because there was a problem with leased lands, there was a problem with squatters' lands. We've hammered all that out. We have just the ones that can go now.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, because I know that was a drawback last time we tried to do it, where we ended up not having a tax sale because we just didn't know. Everyone
Right.
came to us and said, well, no, you can't. No, you can't. So as long as we're prepared and able to move forward with it now.
Okay, then. Any other discussion on the setting of the rate itself? Can I see a show of hands, those in favor of setting the minimum auction at 50%? Okay, 7 in favor, none against. Motion carried. And now, on item 4C, summer water discount. As some of you may remember, in the past, the village did give a discount on the water rate in the hope that those that used more water were using it to kind of beautify their properties by watering their lawns and growing their gardens, things like that, where it would be a certain amount above a person's normal usage. So I think at one time when it was a flat rate in the village, $20 a month, I think was the amount of people paid for water. It wasn't a big deal because you just paid you $20, but now it's all metered, of course. So I seem to remember something about a minimum amount, which is, I think, 30,000 liters that we normally say people on the water system have to pay, whether they use none or 30,000, you pay. But and that's probably an average small family's water anyway, under normal circumstances. So the idea might be for anything over and above 30,000 liters per household residential in the summer, we give some sort of discount in the hopes that, they'll apply that water to their garden or keep their grass green. We were looking at a pretty dry summer, but now, of course, we did have a bit of rain. Any thoughts on that type of thing?
Is that going out just to residential or to everything?
Proposed just to go to residential.
So my thought is kind of the same thing with the community cleanup.
Right.
So some of the storefronts and areas in town are looking a little in need. I know we've had 3 meetings in the last 2 months where the business community has come here and stressed that they're not properly compensated, I guess, by the village, or they could use a little bit of help. That could be some way of showing them that we care about them, whether we do or don't. Not saying either way, but food for thought. They've been coming in and complaining quite a bit about they're working with the village, so I'd say just give it to everybody for the summer and see where everyone but government can pay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other? Yeah, Councillor Hassan?
Thank you. I think it should go only for the residential, and I don't want to go back to the cleanup issue because that was a bad decision, even if the village council agreed. It wasn't a good decision, honestly, to let the business waive the tipping fees for the business. So
Why?
the second day when that happened, our dump received like 200, almost 200 drums.
Good.
That's an issue. So for me, that will definitely affect the life of the dump.
No, that the garbage was still going there. You were just nice to the people who had it, and waived the tipping fee.
I didn't want,
It
I
didn't
didn't,
cost the village anything to move the garbage, like the residential, you could move the garbage. You would, but not for the commercial. So all you did was waive the $50 drop-off fee.
Councillor, I'm talking to the mayor, please. I'm addressing the mayor. So I'm against the idea of having a commercial added to the water. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, and just to give you like an idea, I think in the past, we don't have an example of one of the previous policies that we used, but I think they had adjusted the water rate in the summer to be 50% over and above, I'll say 30,000 liters. The way this resolution reads, it would be just setting a percentage on the total amount you take in the summer months. And so we could probably look at doing it for business as well. Most people aren't going to, I would say, just run water for nothing. They're still paying for it. So I'm assuming they're going to use it still wisely. People wash vehicles and spray down their houses. They do different things that do consume a bit more water. I don't know.
Can I? When was the last discount given to the community or to the residents? So I don't recall. And also, do other municipalities do this, or is it just the village of Fort Simpson and your creative thinking? Because you're just encouraging people to waste water, I think.
Right. But no, it did. It used to be in effect every summer. I can remember when I was the mayor that it was being brought back pretty much every year. It's true that I think in the last few years it wasn't utilized. There seemed to be a little bit less focus on community beautification, but we are looking at that.
Yeah. And my my other comment towards that is when we did the community cleanup yesterday, there was, I'd say, a handful of people, and I showed up and somebody asked me, well, where's the council? Well, I don't know, because maybe they didn't see the poster. But, when you talk about beautification, I think we should leave it up to the owners of the business that are on Main Street to clean up the front of their property. I don't think the taxpayers would even support having us give discounts and we still don't do anything. That's our dentist.
Right.
My opinion is a waste of time.
Okay. Is it possible then, that this can we pull up the last actual time that we had a summer water rate discount just to compare it to what is being proposed here? And then council might have a better idea of whether they want to do it or not.
What is proposed?
It's left as a blank. It just says that council provide for a discounted water rate for residential customers effective start date blank, and it be set at a certain percentage blank of the present residential rate for water. And I'm assuming it would be like the effective would be from this date to that date.
Okay, so if you're saying, you said earlier, let's use 30,000 liters as a number, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so you pay the regular rate for 30,000,
the first 30.
and then after that, you begin getting a discounted rate
Yeah,
for the rest of the water you live.
yeah.
Are we talking about a 10%, 50%? What you guys was like?
Yeah. In the past, it was 50%. And I'm not sure if they said 50% up to 60,000 and then back to the regular. Because if you you just left your tap on for 6 weeks straight or something,
Yeah.
you know.
You want to talk about it at the meeting, next meeting, get some more information on it?
I'm kind of with Liza now, actually. She made a lot of sense there.
Okay.
I'm not in a position to do that.
Councillor Hassan, another thought there?
Thank you. Did you guys think about Wild Rose and top of the hill where people get the water delivered to them? How are we going to deal with that? This is a very complicated issue. And if I have a business and I have a big property and I want to do some planting around my business, why am I paying less rate? And definitely that money is going to come to be covered from somewhere else. So how are we going to cover that?
Your water.
Those are two questions. The first one, Mr. Mayor, when I'm talking, I don't want anyone to interrupt me if you don't mind. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Grote, you want to make mention
Are you
about
done,
something?
Maz? Councillor Hassan, are you finished?
Yeah, are you done, Councillor? Okay, Councillor Grote?
All I was going to comment about is that the off-island is delivered in trucks by the leader, just like we do in town, so that the rating would be the same off and on-island, same.
Yeah, I think in the past, they just basically did the same deal for whether you lived up on top of the hill or downtown. It came up as an issue because people just weren't watering their lawns at one time. They just basically stopped watering their lawns because they said it's too expensive to do it. And it sort of became an incentive. That was the idea.
I don't know, if I may,
Yes.
I think we need more information, like if you're talking, comparing Wild Rose, like, how many people have huge tanks? Like, if I run out of water before 30,000 liters, I have to do a call out for more water, that's gonna cost me. So, some of this stuff has to be thought out a little bit more than just, let's give a discount. So I recommend that we do a little bit more thinking about it. We're just about we're June 10th now. You got what, the end of June and July. You guys are already behind in your water billing. so I just sort of I'm a little bit amused by this, but that's my comments anyways.
Okay, would the mover and seconder be all right with tabling this until the next regular meeting?
Is that part of it? Yeah, sure.
And hopefully we would have a little more information to go by
Absolutely.
and make a decision at that time. Okay. So all in favor of tabling?
Excuse me, who is the mover?
I was gonna apply the mover and seconder's name to the tabling.
Well, who's on the
With the
original
permission.
motion?
Who
The
moved the
mover
first
was
motion?
Councillor Hassan, seconded by Councillor Lafferty.
I
No,
don't want to table it.
don't want table, okay. Okay. Does anyone want to table it? Or do you want to just vote on it?
I want to vote.
Because we'd need to plug some numbers in if we're gonna vote on it. Any suggestions? Doesn't seem like a big,
To move the motion as is, no changes?
yeah.
You guys can suggest a number then?
I'll just put in a number then. How about,
I think one of the councilors wants to speak.
yes, Councillor
I was just thinking,
Selfontaine.
if we're not having any further discussion, I don't feel we've really had enough discussion to make a decision. So at this point, I can't make a decision until we have more information anyway. I don't want to say yes or no. I think we have talked a lot about beautifying the community. It was part of our strategic plan. I think that's great and everything, but I do think at this stage, it's not really, we don't have enough. It's like, it's a good idea, like there's something there, but I don't think we have enough to make an informed decision right now. So
Okay.
I don't like the idea of having
table.
Okay,
Okay.
Councillor Hassan will move to table. They put Councillor Bellefontaine as the seconder. table to next regular council meeting. All in favor? Tabling, to table this motion? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Against? 2. Abstain? Okay, we're short 1. So,
Oh, I'm voting
yeah, you voted
to table it.
to table.
Yeah.
1. Let me see a show of hands.
Okay, the
to
motion
table.
is to table the water rates till the
Till
next
we get-
meeting.
Next meeting, yeah, to have a further discussion. So 5, okay, 5 to 2, okay. So it's tabled. All right. Good enough. Okay. Special meeting adjourned. Now, call our committee as a whole meeting to order. Is there any agenda additions that any councilors would like to see on this?
Is the bench gonna be on there? Is that an addition you guys are putting on? Got the email from Darrell about removing a bench,
Oh.
matter for discussion on Monday.
Let's
that?
put that on. Let's put that on C, bench removal. Okay. Any other additions? All right, we'll do that then. We'll adopt this agenda with the change.
Marty, or ENR,
Oh, yes,
did we add her in as a delegate?
the delegates, sure, okay. Hmm.
Put her as-
Yeah, let's just move all the other ones down, 1. And give Marty 6A. Everything else just becomes, B, C, and D. And any declarations of interest in any of the items tonight? None? All right. Again, councillor absences we don't really take note of at the committee of the whole. And Marty, would you like to join us here at the table? Thank you for coming down. And are you going to give us an update on fire
Smarting and.
fire smarting?
The
What would you like to
cutting,
talk to
the
us about?
cutting proposal and
On the back road here?
Right.
Just where that went and what might happen with that?
Okay, so, I just want to introduce myself to anybody who wasn't here the last time I came in. I think that was in November or something, but anyways, my name is Marty Less. I'm the manager of Forest and Environment and Natural Resources here in Fort Simpson. I'm not really sure where I'm gonna go with this, but because I have a lot to say, I could talk all night, but I will give you an update on, so the last time I was here, I came in and I spoke about an area in the community that was of concern for a fire hazard. So that was the area or the stand-up trees over by the golf course. And so what happened with that is Brendan and I came in and we proposed a possible project that we could work on in the winter time. We had some extra funds because we didn't have a fire season last year. And so we were looking to do some community protection work. So what we wanted to do was to target that stand of trees and but that's your guys' lease. Like that's your guys' land. So we brought it to you guys and we basically started floating the idea around, and that's kind of where it stopped. Only because after discussing it some more with you guys and then bringing it back to work and discussing it some more, it became clear that we needed a lot more planning before we were going to go and cut anything. So it's still a concern, And what we're working on now is, amongst fire season and everything else, is we're going to start developing shovel-ready plans. So we're going to identify all of the areas around the community or within the community that are concerned, that being one of them as well. And we're going to put together a plan. Basically, the whole plan and all that we need left is the money to actually do it. So that when funding does become available again, we can just act on it. So that's going to take some more planning with you guys, a lot more planning, and probably some more sit-downs and meetings before we solidify it. But it is in the works, and yeah, so that's what we have on the agenda for that. And just in saying that, I just want to note that we had 2 fires started in there this spring and left. We don't know by who, kids or I'm not sure. So it is a concern, and if we don't do something about it sooner than later, then someday it is going to go up. So something to keep in the back of our minds. And also I want to say that I held a Fire Smart information session at the beginning of May. 6 community members showed up. So that was a little bit concerning to me. I do want to start reaching out to the community more and get the community more involved with Fire Smart. I'm not sure if you guys are completely familiar with the concept or know about it, but basically I would like to start with homeowners and work from there and kind of move further with it. But it all basically starts at home, and it was actually good to hear you guys talking about water and beautifying properties, because that made me think of Fire Smart as well, because part of Fire Smart is having a watered lawn and making sure that it's not flammable. So that was in the back of my mind as you guys were talking about that. So Fire Smart, I do want to develop a committee, and so that would be people just wanting to take part and be advocates for Fire Smart. That's how we would start it. We would go around and offer to help people do assessments of their own properties to make sure that they could do little things at home to Fire Smart their property. And so, yeah, I'm looking for community members that are willing to sit on a committee, if anybody's interested in that. And we also have a community wildfire protection plan. I mentioned that in November as well. You guys have access to that. It's online. It's on the ENR website. You guys probably have a copy, a hard copy of it somewhere here as well. But that plan was developed and I guess approved in 2011. We had actual consultants come here, specialized consultants come here and put together this community wildfire protection plan, and in it was some really good information on how we could protect the community from wildfire risk. And I think there was 6 to 8 recommendations in there, and basically none of them have been done since 2011. So we pulled that off the shelf. We dusted it off. We took all of that information that's still relevant because none of it was utilized. And we added some things, some areas now that are of higher concern now. And we've updated it. So you guys will be seeing that soon. We're just waiting to get approval from our, I guess, headquarters before we can put that out to the community for consultation. So that's in the works as well. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I noticed when I read that report, that wildlife protection plan, that it advocated that houses in around 3.5 mile area should all have metal roof and fire resistant siding. And I think the town actually in our zoning, our development plan has that wording for residential in that area, but it seems like we've never stuck to it. There's been a few houses And this was quite a while ago, as you say, so we don't seem to hold people to getting metal roofs, which cost more money.
Well, I did notice that housing units up by Gill Crescent, I believe, they're completely tin.
Yeah,
So that's
they're
good to
actually
see.
compliant
Yeah.
by fluke, I think,
Yeah,
not by design.
yeah. In the old CWPP or the 2011 version of it, it does mention in there that it's a recommendation that the bylaws be added or amended to work some of that stuff in there. So I was actually looking through the bylaws today to see if I could find that, and I couldn't. So I had to go off, because my predecessors aren't here anymore. So I had to go off of what I could find myself, and I didn't see that happened. So that'll be also carried over to the new CWPP, so that suggestion is still relevant. So if you do have access to it here, you should take a good look at it. It's quite interesting because a lot of other communities already do that. I'm not saying in the Northwest Territories, but South, like that's worked into them. So, yeah. I did bring some Fire Smart manuals for homeowners, and it does have an assessment at the back. So you can take this and walk through your yard with the assessment and just see, basically you rate your house as to the risk associated with wildfire. So I'll leave those here for you. We have boxes and boxes of them at the office. So I've been giving them to everybody and bringing them to all of the communities. But yeah, I really want to get people to start thinking about this stuff and taking it serious. Because, I mean, we have Fort McMurray, we have Slave Lake, we have those examples already. And I really want people to keep that in the back of their mind. Even high level, like all of the places that have been threatened.
Right.
It is serious. And it's as little as, honestly, like cutting your grass, raking your leaves, making sure there's no leaves in your gutters, things like that. Because at the end of the day, it's not a big wall of flames that's going to come and burn down your house. It's the embers falling. It's the spot fires starting ahead of the fire. So people don't really think of that. They think that, oh, they're on the island, they're safe from fire, but that's not the case. Fires, they'll carry embers and they'll land on this island, and that's what will happen. So
on that idea of protecting houses on the island and off the island, it gets asked periodically, well, what's the village's emergency plan when it comes to wildfires? And I've been quoted as saying, our plan is to wait till ENR tells us what to do.
yes.
Am I wrong in saying that?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I'd say so.
I mean,
It's going to take all of us if that happens. If a wildfire threatens the community, like EMO will have to be activated and all that, right? But what ENR is doing is we're doing up. We've started developing them already, and what it is it's called a wildfire pre-plan. So that in the event that a wildfire threatens a community in the Decho, we have these plans. We can just pull them out and be like, hey, here, and hand them out to the EMO and to anybody who's involved. And on this plan it has all the contact numbers of everybody who would be involved. So critical infrastructure that would be identified on there. It would also have like a map of where the sprinklers are, or the hydrants are in the community, stuff like that. It has all of that information on there, including what we have for resources. So how many sprinkler kits we have in the community, how many water pumps, how many of this we have. It'll be all on a sheet of paper, just one sheet that shows you what we can do and what resources we have in an emergency.
yeah, Councilor Grove?
Just furthering on that.
Yeah.
Okay, but the way I understand it is that somebody's gonna phone you and say, there's a fire out here. You guys are gonna go out and say, yep, there's a fireman out here. We're gonna get service, so we gotta notify the village that there's an issue, is what you do, isn't it? And then you guys fight the fire. You do not decide who evacuates and where.
That's right. We don't do that.
That's right.
We
See, that's,
deal with the fire.
and that's where the confusion is. You were advisors to the mayor and council and the EMO. But you were basically an advisor. You don't tell us what to do.
That's exactly right.
That's where the problem comes is they don't tell us what to do.
No.
MACA would be involved with that part.
Then your EMO all starts kicking in, just like you were saying. It's like, it's not you that runs the thing.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, you're right.
But, yeah, it's unlikely we would do anything other than what you were telling us to do.
they don't tell us anything. They're gonna say evacuate. And then they're gonna hang
Which
up the phone
direction?
and go fight the fire.
Which direction?
Now they've told you to evacuate.
Yeah.
Your plan comes into effect at that point.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's, that was kind of the question too, was, well, scenario desktop, running some of these scenarios through, right? There's maybe half a dozen directions that we can expect a fire to come, and what do we do in each one
We
of
can
them?
absolutely do something like that. I'd be
Just to
100%
give a-
interested in that. They did it in the South Slave. I know that MACA, I think, took the lead on it, but all of the organizations were involved. And
Yeah.
they do tabletop exercises quite frequently.
And I think
So,
people in the
It's not
village,
a bad idea.
yeah, they do want to know that we've at least been considering, these types of things, so that it's not all just new when it happens.
That's right.
And, like you spoke of resources and the amount of sprinkler kits and how long would it take to get more here? And those are things that are unknown to us, but would be of concern. And I think, to me, the village can do a lot in the way of prevention and being prepared, better prepared. If there's 50 sprinkler kits in Fort Simpson, well, what about the other 300 homes? How do we decide who's getting sprinklers and who's not? And can we even,
So there's something that I was taught with the fire department in any emergency situation, is you can sit here for 10 years and plan every single scenario right down to the end.
right,
And it's all gonna go out the window once it happens.
right,
You do your best with the emergency plan we have that was circulated. You call the people, you look at the signs, and you adjust as necessary. There's no tabletop that will encompass everything, ever.
right.
So we need to trust our plan, trust the information we get from our various sources, and move on with it.
And I know I've been lobbying some of the transportation officials. We had, an assistant deputy minister come here the other day, and again, I put forth the idea that on a safety basis, we should have an alternate access off this island. Is one of the, it's too late to talk about getting off the island when the fire is coming down from the top of the hill. There is no getting off the island other than getting on a boat. There's no two ways off the island. But it's those kind of things that I'm hoping, those type of scenarios, as you say, we work through some of them. Village council may decide, in 3 of these, half of us don't get off the island, and we're stuck here waiting for something to happen. So why wouldn't we try to lobby for more sprinklers, a better road access off the island, more fire breaks, this, that, and just the fire smarting things that you're trying to do with local homeowners. So everything's going to come together.
With all due respect, should this be something for maybe a different time and let the delegate go over her issues? I think that's more of we're more in the council area now than the delegate area.
Yeah.
I think if she has something else, she
Having
should
a
be free to
little
speak.
discussion, I guess, but
It's fine. I don't disagree with anything that's being said here. I think, this, it's all very interesting, and it's good to hear different perspectives and stuff. I think that where we could definitely strengthen is communication. I think if we're going to do tabletop exercises or anything like that, the biggest thing we should be focusing on is the communication. Because I think that might be one of our bigger things that we have to worry about when or if something like this happens. One thing that we also are working on, and we have started and we've already done a couple sessions, is we're cross training with the local fire department. So we've done 2 sessions now, and we're hoping to do some more where we're just basically getting to know each other, And the last session that we did it was basically wildfire fire line safety for them in the event that there's something that happens and they have to assist, just basic like aircraft safety and the things that they have to know if they're going to assist us with anything. Not actually, in the event that that happened, they wouldn't actually be fighting the fire with us, but they would be doing stuff like structure protection or anything like that. So it's a step in the right direction. We are working with them, and so that's. I just wanted to let you guys know that was the secondary thing, but yeah. So that's basically all I had to say about that. I'll probably hold another Fire Smart information session at some point throughout the summer. I would like to keep the dialogue and everything going throughout the winter as well. I don't think that this is something we should only be talking about in the summer. It should be throughout the winter. We did have fires in January this year. People left fires down by Fort Liard, and they kept smoldering, and yeah, so. Yeah, that's basically all I had to say. So if there's no other questions, you guys can also always give me a call or an email. I'm always at work here, so I'm around if you have anything else.
Councillor Lafferty?
Yeah, on the highway to Wrigley, there's a lot of felled trees along the highway, and they're dry. They've been there for a few years. Like, they're just waiting for a fire to happen.
Like, are the trees that people cut down and just left there?
Yes, they're all cut down, and they're alongside the trees.
Yeah.
Because when we go out there for berries and stuff, you gotta jump over,
Climb over it.
climb over those. Yeah, and there's a lot. Maybe you want to go check it out, because I think that's just a
And you're just talking about
accident
the
waiting
ditches
to
here?
happen.
Just in the ditches?
It's not in the ditches. It's right along the trees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it goes quite a ways down. I think it's all the way down to the ferry landing down there. And I don't know who's cut them. Nobody's said. And I've mentioned it before, we should have people go out there and clean it all up, and like burn it in the wintertime or something. Get rid of it.
Okay.
And Marty, you did mention that, you would still like to do the clearing on Antoine. How is money going to be looking if that's?
It's hard to say. I was telling Kirby earlier that we did get a little bit of rain. Yes, we had 5 days of rain, but our indices are already back up to high, and they'll be extreme in 2 days. So that really just bought us a few extra days. It really didn't make that much of an impact. We're in that much of a drought, so it depends how our fire season goes. But as soon as something comes available, we'll definitely be in contact with you guys. We'll be in contact with you guys long before then, even, because we need some.
Councillor Gray?
Yeah, when that thing, I think that would be a good one to get out of. I think it would work good for us, and that's why I'd really like to see that one progress. We just like that idea of the bond barrier trees around the edge. As far as I could see, there was no other issues with that, so.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we talked about was what condition would it be left in after the trees were cut or mulched? What type of, would be getting a nice leveled area, or would we be getting, a bunch of tree stumps and more work for us?
We would mostly be taking the trees out. I mean, anything that's above the surface would be us. Anything below, like I don't think we would be much into removing stumps. And that would be probably a bit of an issue. So you take the stumps out, then you're probably gonna have to backfill with something and all that to actually level it out. Yeah. Well, I mean, we can plan more for that, and if you guys have a vision of what you want to do with that area, I think it's actually still it's below the high water mark, isn't it? That side of the road. Yeah. So you can't actually put any infrastructure there, I wouldn't think.
They were talking about driving range, or
Right.
a golf course would be or a green space in there somewhere. might be a very nice area.
Yeah.
Turned up.
Driving range.
And yeah, it is one of those areas where the bears kind of cross going to the northern store garbage cans, basically,
Yes.
shortest route. Having a little more open space would probably give people a little better security in the fall time, walking around there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, if money's come available, I guess that would certainly be something the council would be interested in looking at
Okay.
again. And that was a good job on the fire protection line on the other side of 3.5 mile. That widened it, to me, it looks like twice as wide as it was before.
It is, it's exactly that. We doubled it.
Yeah,
So we do actually still have plans to go in there and clean up those piles, but we have to wait till they dry out. So it'll probably be first snowfall kind of thing before
Yeah.
we go in.
burn it up.
Yeah.
I don't know if people want to go in and get the wood, if that's allowed.
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially your guys' lease, so you can go in and if you guys wanted to do something with that or make it open to the community.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Let people know that they can harvest.
well, so half of the fire guard is you guys, and the other half is IAB land.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so basically anything from the hill, the top of the hill, down, that's IAB.
Right.
But anything above that is,
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's where most of the piles are on the top.
that's right.
The people would be going there with a vehicle, probably a truck or something. Yeah, to go down the hill, you need 4-wheelers, I think.
Yeah, and it's basically, it's marshy down there, so it's
Yeah.
pretty wet.
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
Any other?
That's perfect for me.
Okay, yeah, no,
I'll
really
leave these here
appreciate
with
you
you. You guys
coming
can
down and
take one home, check them out. The
Thank you.
property's pretty good.
Thank you.
And how do you spell your last name?
LYS,
Lys?
Yeah.
And you say it less?
less. You
Okay.
can say less too, or
How do you say it?
I say it less, but that's confusing to people because it's not spelled like that.
Right, yeah, I spelled it a different way and I was wondering. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much
Okay.
again.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
All right. 6B, financial report. And, I believe Councilor McPherson asked for it, and there it is.
Yeah.
That is financial activity up to the end of May.
I have a question.
Mhm. Go ahead.
I just went through and like I'm looking through public works. And I noticed that we don't have a breakdown for snow removal.
Okay.
And I don't know whether that's just, that's just thrown into wages or, how it's, like just for road maintenance, how do you justify, your snow removal and your road maintenance and that sort of stuff, like?
As I understand, the breakdown of wages and how they're allocated and where they're costed, the understanding is that we've not done that before. We could certainly move to bringing something like that into place as we
Yeah.
move forward. But again, this is reporting how the village has reported for a number of years. So.
Yeah, because I just feel that in order for us to make informed decisions as to how to improve maintenance and how, not only us, but the administration, because everything's lumped together, you don't really know exactly what things are costing you in the O&M side. That's, because I like to say, okay, this is how much snow removal cost us last year, and this is where we are today. How are we going to move funds around to accommodate or cover the expenses as the year goes on?
Right.
Thank you.
So some sort of
more detailed accounting, I think,
Yeah.
for some of the programs that the services we deliver.
Okay, Councillor Grow?
I agree with Councillor McPherson, because how do you cost anything we do? If you have no labor, like we have $500,000 in labor just against general coffers, is that how you do it?
It's just been identified in the past as the total salary
So how-
component for public works.
So how do people charge their time out for the day?
They've never done that in the past.
Really?
No.
Yes, I would suggest that you implement that immediately.
Yeah, it might not be as easy as we think, right? Because it needs coding all kinds of different jobs, and what jobs are we going to track and which ones
All
aren't
of them.
we?
Let's talk about it now.
Well, what jobs are you looking at tracking? Snow
Everything.
removal,
Everything.
water and sewer. But into what categories? Everything you say, but break it up into some categories.
Well,
that
you have, you have your winter works, like which is snow removal. You have your summer works, which is, like putting gravel down or what, road improvements. And, and I know for water and sewer, that's specialized, like everything that's related to that is already coded to it. And I'm assuming your administration knows what's to be coded to water, to that program, so. I just feel that's a little more detail required for counselors' purposes to make an informed decision as to, okay, yes, we should take this program on ourselves, or maybe we should contract it out, that sort of stuff. This is what I'm talking about, cost accounting.
Councillor Grow?
Here's one example. How much does it cost to put calcium? Because the calcium is quite expensive. We're running our equipment, which is probably just at, like everybody else, $100, $150, $200 an hour. And I've seen the calcium truck out there many days. We should know how much applying calcium to our town costs. And I have one other question on that. Does calcium eat chip seal or asphalt? I think that's a very serious question because these trucks are dragging this onto both our new chip seal at the back and our asphalt on the front. And I really would like to know how much that is costing, because I do know we bought big full tanker load of calcium one time. And it's not supposed to be put on the road streets every 2 weeks, the way I understand it. However, I would like to see costing on that. Let's start there going forward.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not even sure if we do proper cost allocation for, as Councillor McPherson said, water and sewer, because you'd think that any work related to water and sewer would be coded to that department. So that helps us to set water rates, because there's your true cost, economic cost of water. You break it down into your economic rate, and if we aren't doing that, I think this is part of the problems in the past, of how we come up with what we do. And not arguing about that, I think it's not a bad idea. Maybe we could get administration to have a little discussion with.
So as it stands, the employees just give us a number and we just pay it? Is that kind of what happens? They just say, I work 80 hours and that's all we get?
On timesheets, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no breakdown.
There's no
of
breakdown whatsoever.
where the different jobs are they're doing.
And does our public works manager and recreation and everybody, like I know DP or infrastructure now or whatever DPW is, they don't do anything without a work order.
Mhm.
So they have specific jobs that these things are all sent to. Like, is that something our directors and foremans can start doing so that you know exactly what the departments are up to? They hand you in a worksheet that says, I did this. It was this many hours. I mean, that could be your breakdown right there.
Yeah, some places where timesheets will be very detailed about how many hours they did on a particular job on a particular day.
Yeah. Like, I think we need to put more onus on our department heads to tell us what our employees are doing, not just you.
Mhm.
Because while you have a lot of stuff to do here, you can't be driving around watching everybody. But it seems from this is you just get a number, and they could have been drinking coffee, they could have been driving a truck, they could have been doing anything. I would really like to see our department
Right, but
heads run
that's
their
what-
departments.
That's what our department heads are looking out for, right?
But they're
We don't
not-
manage
But they
our-
aren't.
We don't manage our employees.
Sean,
That's right.
you're missing what I'm saying. We aren't finding out if they're putting our employees to work because we aren't getting information about what's being done. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not saying somebody's not doing their job. I'm saying there should be a more detailed accounting of what work is being done and the time it's taken. That's why we pay our foremans and our directors so much more than just a regular employee.
Right, so swimming pool staff will say, I worked 4 hours.
Whoever's in
doing
charge of the swimming pool,
Junior class, and then.
Yes.
Who,
3
does
hours
somebody,
doing Senior class.
who's in
Or are
charge
you
of the
only
swimming pool?
interested in breakdowns for work that could potentially be privatized?
No, everything, Sean.
Okay.
That's why I said rec directors, public works, everyone that runs a department should submit a report to the SAO with what was their employees did.
Right.
I would love to have a
monthly
boss that just
reports,
asked for a
don't
number from me.
we? Right. We do get reports from our departments that itemize the projects that were
Yeah,
accomplished,
but-
though. We do get that, don't we?
Yeah, but we don't have the numbers accompanying those
Yeah.
projects.
We fixed a
Okay.
manhole or we ran a camp. Okay, did 6 people at the rec center work 20 hours to run that camp?
Right.
Was that camp worth running?
So when we find out that removing manholes takes 1.5 hours, what are we going to do about that? Like, is that really our job?
It's
To be
the
digging into
administration's
those
job.
kind of, that would be something I assume that the department head,
I would assume that as well, which is why I want them to do it.
right, I'm sure they see it. We don't have that many staff, though.
Can
Yes,
can I make a recommendation, because we can sit here and talk about this all night, is that we send this to committee, the finance committee, and come up with some recommendations, or come up and find out what kind of changes we can make in the financial reporting. Because, we have, I know we pay a pretty big buck for our accounting system with whoever the people are, whatever the company is. And if they can't help us set up a better reporting system, then we should get rid of them.
yeah. And
No,
and of course, everything comes at a cost, right? Even
Yeah,
the employees recording timesheets, and someone collates them, and somebody has to actually spend time putting all this information together, right? So I guess it becomes, is the information actually going to be valuable enough to pay for it? And
well, that's,
do you want everything, or do you want certain categories of expense?
I've been on
Track.
council for 5 years, and almost every second meeting, council has asked for a breakdown of what we spend on things. So I'd say it's pretty asked for and sought after.
Right, well, I think it's a good idea. Yeah, Councillor Grow?
I have never seen any company, or I'm sure any government organization with more than 5 employees which just carte blanche writes checks to the staff without knowing what they're doing. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. And here we've been doing this for years, and that comes right back to the questions we ask. How much is this costing? We say, well, it doesn't cost anything, because we don't keep track of our staff's costs. I mean, I better quit.
Okay, we will talk more, I guess,
Yeah.
and as you say, there's some
there's
interest in seeing
improvements to the.
some numbers tracked here, so, okay, we'll put that on to the next, I guess it would be table it to
Finance committee.
Finance Committee.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll schedule a Finance Committee meeting where we can have our finance person attend and perhaps have a discussion.
I just want to reiterate, I have no malice to anybody.
Yeah.
It's just a proper way to do it.
Yes.
That's all I'm getting at. I'm not singling anybody out in the village of Fort Simpson or anywhere.
Okay. Okay,
I have one more question.
yes, Councillor Grow.
Just gee whiz on the way by. Our mayor councillor indemnities last year was projected and cost $34,000. As of January 1st this year, we knew we were going to be $46,000. Did we know in January we were getting a raise?
No.
Why is it projected to be $12,000 more?
I think we project for everyone attending every meeting. And that invariably never, there's always, that doesn't happen.
Okay, I got, yeah.
I mean, one thing we found was in the previous year, we did not have actually too many committee meetings. That may have resulted in an actual that was a little lower too than what we're projecting. Hard to say. Okay. Any more discussion on the financials? Because that was one aspect of them. Is there any other? Overall, Daryl, did you want
I just that,
to hit a high note here or there?
you know, operationally, we are projecting a significant surplus again in the water sewer and a small surplus in the general operating fund. You know, we're 5 months of the way through. You know, we'll continue to report. I guess in terms of councils, how often would you like these? Would you like them monthly?
Yes.
We can certainly do that monthly.
I mean, is it as simple as hitting a button and pushing these out, or is there a cost to it?
We can generate them with in a reasonable way. It's not overly taxing, I would say. So,
Right.
you know, you know, as we get closer to year end, we'll be monitoring more. We'll be able to be more confident in our forecasting projections, and you know, get to a year end that's positive again. And as well, just some of the, just want to pass around the capital plan just for a quick discussion, if we may, right?
I got two.
Everybody got one?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just wanted to go over the 5-year capital plan, and more specifically, the projects that were approved for 2019. And some of these change through the year as the projects are completed, or we get to know what the costs are. And I'll just, so we did a revised capital plan approval. Council adopted that back in March, and we'll basically wait until we get towards the end of this fiscal. Once we know we're pretty much completing what we're going to complete in 2019, and we'll bring revised numbers back for council with explanations, and get basically an approval for a final revised capital plan budget for 2019. The budgets for the 4 years forward, those won't change. Just some of the items that have changed. The sidewalk plow and sweeper. We originally budgeted that at $57,000, and that is a cost of $44,000. Street lights, we had originally budgeted at $30,000, and with what we're doing, it's about $25,000. The two bigger projects, the chip sealing and the landfill upgrades, are in there at their projected costs. And again, they may change as we move forward. The new rink boards and kick plates. Originally carried a budget of 160. We've reduced that to around 150, or that will be. Trail system, again, with the ISEP approval announcements, we will probably defer some of those project costs into 2020, but we have started some of the preliminary work on trail grubbing and things of that nature, so that project has been started. The welcome sign, the boardroom furniture, the building upgrades, based on the AEA audits. We originally had that at 80, and we have recosted that at what the tenders came in at, 160. 50,000 from AEA funding, and 110 will be funded through the gas tax fund.
Before, can I stop at that for a second?
Yes, sir.
Those upgrades to our mechanical system and that, I've heard a rumor that we've changed all of our pumps to brand new pumps in our mechanical upgrades in the rec center. They're all brand new pumps in there. And I'm not sure that the savings of putting in another brand new pump with a fancy thing that saves us energy on the side
Mhm.
is worth the time, because those are $1,000, $2,000 pumps.
Mhm.
I don't know what they are,
I
but
know
they're
that-
expensive.
I know
But
that the contractors, representative from AEA, one of our staff, did basically a scoping walkthrough last week. I know they identified some matters at the arena, the rec center, and will be commenting on those as they move through their plan. Moving on, water treatment plant. We're going to be moving forward fairly soon with resizing the water treatment plant building, putting up some additional fence around there.
Is it gonna be metal siding?
Metal siding, and
It's actually gonna meet the fire codes. there.
yes, and we
We actually need the water plant to not burn if embers are flying all over the village.
we're getting the materials costed, and also we'll be utilizing staff to put the siding on.
once again, we needed costing on that, which changes it from free.
Right. I guess the only comment that could be made there is, it's nice to know how much time is being put in. But there is always the, if you have staff and there is time to do it, why wouldn't you use your own staff, I suppose? That's the alternate side, right?
Okay, let's go back and talk about this siding job, because you brought up that we're doing it ourselves. Who on our staff can lay siding for a living?
Right. Well, we shouldn't name names. but-
No, but I mean, do we have
In
somebody
general?
on staff, huh?
Yeah,
Who
In
can
general?
is a
We have made some initial inquiries from staff directly of whether or not they have the skill set to do that. And when they indicate that they can, proper safety equipment and protective equipment and scaffolding, it's a path we should go down. And so it's you know, again, it's the whole question of the philosophy of, do you do it in-house or do you contract everything out? And you know, operationally, you know, we have decisions to make, we have recommendations to make, and you know.
yeah, I guess
Is that the water treatment or is that the public works or?
That could be anything.
Yeah, no, but I was just wondering who the
Yeah.
professionals are that are putting siding on.
Um,
The loader operators, or is it the skating rink operators, or is it the water treatment plant operators? Don't answer that question, but I mean, that's just.
Yeah, I guess if you have a certain amount of staff that you need at peak times to do certain things, there will be other times where there's off-peak hours or off-peak times where you try to fill their hours with projects that as long as they're capable of doing it, then as you say, otherwise we're going to be looking at every job, deciding who gets to work on what job and
As and wins.
But yeah, that's there as a backup for sure, I think, as, you know, if we don't feel we can do it, we think it's better done by somebody else, and that's what we use, I guess. Proof is in the pudding, I guess, when you see the products and you say, well, either it got done right or it didn't. Yeah.
That's not a
Councilor
great.
Rowe?
Well, I was gonna move on to something else, but I will say that's a horrible line of thinking. I don't want to see a bad job. I want to see a right job. I just want to know, because we're getting to the point where we're either gonna put down a curling rink slab or we're not gonna have a curling season. So what?
Structural engineer will be,
'Cause we've been told 2 weeks for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I get about 10 calls a day from that thing personally. I'm really getting, I like those people, but I don't want to talk to them every day anymore.
we are working towards an outcome, a
And-
slab.
And have you contacted the curling executive to see if they have any input? They would be able to tell you, well, Roger Pilling or myself, I guess,
Mhm.
would be somebody to talk to
I
regarding
reached out
layout.
to the fire chief to invite him at those times when either we're sitting down discussing over the phone or on site. So that we'll continue to reach out when that happens.
So we'll be hearing back from the engineer, you figure,
Hopefully within a week.
within a week. So at the next meeting, we'll have
I
an update. hopefully.
have no guarantee for you on that.
Okay.
Is there any hurry on this? Or are we just letting them play their game and like do their time? Like, are we in a hurry to get this done? Because we're well into June now, and July, August, and September are pretty short months to get stuff done. So are we actively trying to accomplish this summer, or are we just letting things go?
I would ask council to trust the staff for moving this forward as efficiently and quickly as they can. And, that is our goal, to get it done.
The other thing was just about the bleachers and dugouts at the baseball diamond. There's a plan for moving forward, like a date.
Bleachers are on site. Fencing has been ordered for dugouts and extensions down both ball fields. Again, we are using in-house staff to do that work. It's work that we feel can be done, and I think where we can, we should utilize staff to do that work.
So we're forecasting that that'll be done well before the
Their
tournament.
expectation from staff is that will be done well before the tournament.
Thank you.
Any other items there as you were going down, Daryl?
Just that we have not heard any word on ISIP proposals, other than they are with the Government of Canada for review. And we'll be like other communities in the north. When those decisions are made, we will hear. It's certainly not the desired outcome to not do some of these projects this year, but if those announcements are end up being so late that we don't, we pass the construction season, then we just defer them into to next year, 2020 and 21. So
For the 5th year.
once the announcements are made, then we know how we can move forward. So we're just sitting in a wait and see point at this point.
Okay, any other questions on capital plan? Okay. Well,
All from that, Your Worship.
okay, thank you, Mr. White. And now we have item 6C, a request for a civic number from resident Larry Campbell.
Just some background. Mr. Campbell has a lease down on the Tower Road. Council creating or appointing a civic number to him. From discussions with him will allow him to have his utilities in with less difficulty. So he's made the request, said we would bring it forward to council. And
Councilor Rowe?
Can we look at the approval of the development permit? Because I believe there were stipulations, because it was an undeveloped area. We'd had problems with him setting up, but we kind of, in my opinion, caved because he said, well, we didn't get the information, so it's our fault. So we have to give him approval. But I do believe we said we would not be in charge of anything. So I'd like to know how that impacts council's previous position. Or maybe taking a look at the details of the conditions might give us some more insight into that. Because there was some debate as to whether the village wanted to entertain that, because it was proposed to be an agricultural area when we did our community plan that never got done. And then this whole thing kind of abruptly changed that, and council kind of caved.
did council create that block as country residential?
I think it's urban reserve.
Okay.
It's way out by
The tower.
the tower. Like it's purple. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Do residents of Bannockland have a municipal address? I'm just wondering, because it's all of those lots don't adjoin a public road. They adjoin a driveway. So I'm wondering, what is the municipal address given to those places? In Bannockland? Is that, but is it something, 10 Bannockland, or do they have?
I don't think they have any.
They have no municipal addresses. Yeah, because that is one thing, is that normally a municipal address, you, whatever way you're accessing a municipal road, or it could be in Alberta, it could be like a range road, right? Maybe a provincial road, but however you access your property, that road becomes the road, whatever number and that road. That's why in town, sometimes people say, gee, I have an odd number, my driveway's off to the side, but initially it was set up so that access was on one particular road, and that's your municipal address. So that's the rationale behind it. I think it's good to have a municipal address because of 9/11 coming into effect. It's better than saying, well, I live out by Anderson Mills across the road, and
I feel like this was kind of, if we do this for one, we're going to end up doing this for everyone. And there's going to be a piece of land here, 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 and it gives no structure to growth.
right.
I would recommend that we see the conditions of the development permit before moving forward with this.
Okay. Councilor Morrow?
At the public meeting, Chief Jerry Antoine had stated that he would like us to see more development up towards that way anyway. So how do we go about doing something like that?
Yeah, as part of a community planning process, we could look at creating an area out there where then we would say there's going to be a municipal road going by and create those addresses. Right now, that road that goes in is, as far as I understand,
It's Northwest Health.
probably a Northwest Tel driveway.
No, it is a Northwest Health.
Yeah, well, it's not, definitely not a village road. So, now, the driveway adjoins the Mackenzie Highway. I think, what number would you give a property if you started using Mackenzie Highway as your access point, You'd have to say number what, 50? Because there could be more going out towards the airport and some towards town. You'd have to almost,
I think if you're on a farm, you're on a farm.
right, but even farms in Alberta have addresses.
That's right.
Open lots.
I made my recommendation.
Right, maybe it's something that, if you're not really ready to do any kind of municipal address now, we could defer this to a bit of our community planning committee and yeah.
Is that a leased property?
Yeah,
You've
from the
got a
government. Yeah, from the
leased
government.
property within the village of Minnesota.
Yeah, from
And that's
lands
what-
department.
Yeah, from the lands department. It's got-
Okay, I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
This history here, so I'm with you guys on following your lead on that, I think.
See what the old development permit said. I don't.
Okay, well, we could take a look at that, bring that back again, next council meeting perhaps, and just follow through with that, okay? A little more information. All right. Any other thoughts on that? No? All right. 6D, bench removal. We got a letter asking for a bench to be removed in the field across from the soup kitchen. Any thoughts?
Comments of loitering.
The one across the street, right?
Yeah, for some reason, I thought that there was a bench on that side, but it's the one across.
I think we got to be careful about taking the seats out of the community because if you're going to say, people are loitering, yeah, that's what you do when you sit on a bench. You're basically loitering. You're kind of relaxing, sitting down.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah.
That letter came with my approval. It was not brought to my attention that they were going to do this, so I would just leave that with me. I will be discussing it with them. Yeah, because these guys are my staff, and I did not know that they had sent this email to you guys.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So,
Okay.
Works for me.
we will not
Save the
discuss it any
discussion.
further, and I will bring it back with me.
There will be further discussion
Yeah.
in another location.
Yeah.
Be gentle.
There may be other ways to deal with the loitering than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's move to liquor store.
Okay.
That was,
Never mind benches, we'll move to liquor store.
yeah.
So if that's all for that item, is there any in camera tonight? No? All right, then, I'll declare the meeting closed, and thank you, everybody, for attending this evening.
Okey-dokey.
You have fun. I won't send you a text message
No,
until the
you
store.
just go.
Oh,
I will
jeez.
come in and report
Don't tell me to go home.